Of Wrestling host JP John Paz with me today. A very special returning guest, the hacker himself, Mr. Ben Hamin. Ben, welcome back. How you doing?
We are in control now.
Goddamn right, we're in control now. Good to be back here. To be the second man in the power trip with John Paz, man. Thanks for the invite, buddy. Good to see you, and good to be back in the studio with you, pal.
Yeah, great to see you. Haven't talked in a while. So, what's going on in your world? What have you been up to?
I'm just shining bright over here, apparently.
Nice.
But I've been making my exit out of the wrestling world to some degree. Still enjoying, obviously, having Hamin Media Group with all the great producers and great Bearcats out there interacting on our Facebook page. Just the best and most educated wrestling fans, and working with Big Stevie Cool and Vince Russo over on channelattitude.com, the Raw and SmackDown review and Master Shoot Theater. It was such a big month for controversy with the Vince doc and, me impersonating and doing Vince on Master Shoot. There was plenty there to talk about, some of our best conversations yet. So I'm enjoying all that, man. But at my biggest thing as I transition out is Ravens Joint, ravensjoint.com, which is my dispensary in Clay, New York, the 81st legal dispensary for recreational cannabis in New York. So always been a big proponent of weed for many reasons: creativity, pain relief, anxiety relief, PTSD relief, and pain relief for the boys, and sleep relief now is what a lot of my senior customers are looking for, man. And weed's always been the truth, and people who are down with it kind of know that. And now it's a crazy daydream as I transition out of wrestling to be Ben Ha Green, the weed empire.
Yeah, really. It's becoming a bit of an empire over there in New York.
Man.
Speaking of,
I'm working. My business partner is a former owner of 2CW, who I worked with for 5 years. So you let some true carnies performers and promoters in that biz, and we're gonna get the most out of it that we can. No doubt. How are you though, man? How are things?
Doing good.
Nobody ever asks the other co-hosts how they're doing. Vince always asks me, how are you doing? What's new with you, bro?
Not much. Same old, same old. Doing pretty good though. I can't complain. But it's funny because you mentioned Vince, and I was thinking, I was like, man, the Vince doc, the Netflix McMahon and Vince. I mean, they're more aligned, more close than maybe you would think.
I mean, from Improv Olympic and Second City training days, at the root of my creativity, aside from yes and, is truth and comedy, and the truth will always ring more hilarious than any fiction that you try and invent, even if it's a 1 degree away and it has just hints of it and it's turned up the volume to the ridiculous for the use of satire. You know what I mean? A lot of times out of touch Vince on Master Shoot Theater, it seems more like a prediction of the future of how things are going to go. And Vince usually with the allegations ends up telling me, hold my beer. Well, you think you were going hard, watch this. And then release some text messages and every other goddamn thing, man. So, where there's smoke, there's fire. If it walks like a duck, the whole nine. You guys know all the cliches. So it'll be an interesting teardown, because that's what we do as human beings. We build people up to a godlike status only to tear them down so we can stand over them and say, see, you were no better than I was ever, and I'm better than you. And that feeling is just something that's ingrained in our primate Anunnaki DNA, I guess. I don't know, man. So,
but
this is getting to me.
With the Vince and obviously Vince, was that, I don't know, kind of foreshadowing to a degree, or were you just kind of joking around like, he would never do or say this, or were you actually thinking he would do and say this?
Yeah, anything is possible in that, and being on the inside through developmental and having to hear these bullshit speeches from either Bruce or Johnny Ace or whoever they were making the messenger. I never had any problems at all. In fact, he always treated me with respect. Simon Dean, whatever you want to call him, Supernova. But other guys might feel a certain way about whoever the talent relations guy was at that time. And I'm sure the girls definitely feel a certain way. That is something Well, I won't say some guys didn't have to, because who knows what the Patterson pressure was like, from others. So I don't know if you want me to say it, but I'm going to say it regardless. I know Jeff Lane always has a half a heart attack, but this is Rip Rogers, and this is the entertainment business. It's carnies, queers, and addicts, bro. And you can define that not just the carny is the shyster, the person trying to pick your pockets, the person telling you lies to your face. The queer side is the behavior. It doesn't just mean homosexual stuff. You can be doing once you're into fecal play and simulated rape with your buddy, that's pretty queer behavior by the definition of it, and I'm not trying to cast aspersions on any type of LGBTQ with that. It's just you're into some outside of the norm behavior at that level. And addicts, addicted to spotlight, addicted to pain pills, addicted to sex, addicted to gambling, addicted to whatever it is. I mean, Dana White's a major gambling addict, right? As well. So, and usually there's a little bit of that in almost every performer. Some might be strictly one, some might be made up of two or all three. So, and you might not be made of that stuff. And then you get to be in Guardians of the Galaxy, and then they got you wearing women's suits and pearl necklaces on the red carpet. Like it don't stop, bro, and then that's the entertainment biz. And those at the top of it, a Bill Cosby, a Harvey Weinstein, a Vince McMahon, a P. Diddy. It's not by chance that you see these megalomaniac narcissistic behaviors manifest themselves in a very pseudo-sexual, dangerous situation with disregard for anybody else's health, well-being, or aftermath from it, because they can just throw $3 million at it and snuff the problem out. What's that matter when you're sitting on $8 billion? So now you can just treat people as a slave class that are disposable to do as thou wilt with. And like I said, that karma in the end seems to come back. And then if you got too much dirt on the other carnies, queers, and addicts, they'll make sure you don't get out of jail after they arrest your ass. The guards just happen to take a nice little nap, and the CCTV cameras go out, and you're back to Epstein Island in your dreams in Fantasyland. It's a good time.
So do you think the Vince doc, do you think it kind of encapsulated him? Like, how do you think they did on the doc as far as really encapsulating Vince himself?
I think a lot of that was very Robert Durst level. A lot of people were like, if you know the WWE, you didn't see anything new. There's a lot there that will be used down the road. You remember the Robert Durst true crime stuff on Netflix where they got him on the
recording in the bathroom.
Yeah, when Vince goes, my mind's like a computer. It's constantly calculating why I'm here. And then I got another computer over here. And then there's even a third one. Well, you think the second computer is trying to run $1 billion industry or something. What's the second computer doing? It's locked in on Pornhub, and all of his subconscious thoughts are constantly about deviant sex. He stooges that off in that sit down thinking it makes him look like a virile man. But really, that's his subconscious screaming out saying, I am fucked. I have done terrible things. Someone please punish me. Someone please catch me. That is the same as the Robert Durst underpinnings. And you can go back to the Playboy interview where he was abused by his father physically, and who knows, probably sexually too, for humiliation, and his mother with incest. That right there splits a child's psyche into different parts of genius and madness. And he keeps saying, all that other shit, throw it to the back, throw it to the back. Well, if you don't ever address your madness and your abuse and come to terms with it in a healthy way, it's going to manifest itself into a super demon underneath the surface that you don't want people to see, but it still needs to be fed. And now all that comes out there, and down the road, if the attorney could make Vince look like a sympathetic character based on that abuse that drove that. However, he's still going to have to answer for his crimes. At least it will be some level of why he did it, that he's not just a rich dude who wants to, here's the reasons leading up to it. And maybe that will have some mercy on his final judgment in a jury's eyes. But if they're doing it with Diddy, they did it with Weinstein. You're talking about precedents being set here. And Vince McMahon is not going to escape that. The only way he's going to escape that is death. So there's a lot in there that speaks to the reasons why his queer sexual proclivities are at the level they are. And his subconscious is trying to tell him. I think it's like in episode 2, and I'm surprised that they didn't bring that back in the end in that quick run of hits that they did to lay that out there, because that would really kind of quantify, here's the damage done early, and here's the split personality disorder where you've got, because they sometimes, well, there's Vince and there's Mr. McMahon, and people don't know Vince. And then by the end, episode 5, he's going, Mr. McMahon and Vince are kind of the same person, right? Like there's a lot there that wasn't edited how I would have edited that most important go home episode, where they try and save little face and Pritchard comes in hot to put heat on the producers and say the good things that he did for his wife during cancer time. Well, sociopathic personality disorders often have extreme sways of empathy, as long as extreme sociopathic nefarious means as well. Like you could look at even Dr. Melfi and Tony Soprano, right? Like a compassion for ducks and family and these types of things. Meanwhile, ready to murder his own best friends. So that's not too far off on the case study that David Chase could write up on Vince McMahon. And then the other part of that is 2 days before it drops, here comes this Twitter like meme that he puts out, like that's trying to get out in front of it because they're paranoid and inside the bubble of what it's going to be, when if they would have just laid out, it would have just passed a little bit. Instead, they send up another Robert Durst red flag of something isn't right here to be doing that if you just wanted to stay small and not have to make any media tour. And it also goes to the fact of Vince's paranoia in his subconscious because of that, to put that out there and probably not listen to his advisors who are telling him not to do that. And there's an argument, you're going to put it out, goddammit. Same as when he's sitting down with Costas or the other guy who asks him simple questions and he can't believe the audacity of this person he deems lower than him.
Yep.
Right there, you're seeing a lot of his stepfather's abuse come out when he gets in the face of Costas, and forgive me, the other journalist, where he hits
Armagedonian,
Armagedonian. Like that's what you're seeing, and I'm not trying to be like I'm the smartest guy in the room because I'm just a fucking goof ass wrestler myself, right? A media guy and a businessman, but I've character studied plenty, in my acting career, and what makes people tick and how they got there. A lot of that is in that documentary that was not quantified, solidified at the end, but there's probably 5 or 6 big points there that will come back to bite them down the road.
So very interesting point. So many people are like, God, there was nothing there, nothing new. You're not going to learn anything. You're saying not true. And then all that other stuff, almost like subconscious, Vince.
Forgive me. My undergrad is in media arts, and I am also an actor since age 12. So I look at things with a critical eye. It's very hard for me to watch anything and enjoy it. I was very impressed with The Penguin, the first 2 episodes I watched of that, which is almost very Sopranos. I'm on my 78th viewing season of Sopranos because nothing has come out since, and I watch it at different angles as a producer, director, actor, writer, and doesn't matter if it's The Wire, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. Those are kind of our Shakespearean level epic dramas. And then I'm supposed to go watch some stupid fucking sitcom with a laugh track and actually enjoy it. I can't. I'm ruined in that respect. My eye is so critical that it only comes around about every 5 years that I get one show where I'm actually impressed, because even if this is just me and my wives hate this when I ruin shows too, because they start watching critically instead of just enjoying it.
Yep.
And, but that's what dealing with a carny ass promoter like me is the price they have to pay, I guess. So that's why I watch these things a little bit different than a normal WWE fan or average Joe at home just watching things, you know.
So there is more than meets the eye, just as far as what people are saying, not necessarily true.
Yeah.
Like if you actually watch, there's more to learn from that doc.
Yeah, I think absolutely. And you know what I really loved in it was all the people who are still involved that they wanted high level to like stooge. And there's one question where they said, what's Vince McMahon's legacy going to be? Cut to John Cena. Whew, I might not be the best one to ask about that. Why? Because he's tied to Hollywood still. Doesn't want to stooge, doesn't want to get caught. Cut to Cody. I don't want to fuck up my push and have Triple H heat come back down to me. Fabe's the question. Trish. Cut to Tony Atlas, greatest promoter of all time. Like a simple man, a guy who, and I'm not trying to down him, was pretty illiterate for most of his life. And and a guy who doesn't have to worry about is Hollywood coming to call to put me on a show. Right to the bone, right from the mouths of babes, a very simple truth. I love that there's both of those dichotomies in that wrestling, in that documentary, because when Tony Atlas was on top, it was young Vince taking the company from his dad, right? And all those daddy issues and whatnot. So he knows the promotion, the 80s, the 70s and 80s side of that, where everybody else got that post DX, put heat on everybody, the click shit that changed the biz forever. And you had to be better at politics in order to survive in WWE, more than you even had to be good in the ring. It was more important that you were willing to stab somebody up backstage to take their spot, to prove it to Vince. Isn't that another level of the strange behaviors when Paul Heyman says about the showdown with Shane and Vince, you're going to take this knife and stab it into me. And if you don't, then I know you don't have the balls, and I don't respect you either way. Again, very much not Vince McMahon Sr., but stepfather abuse. And I understand separating family from the business, but that is, to me, Vince McMahon probably has 3, maybe more, that we haven't even ever seen, of multiple personality disorder based on the trauma that he suffered as a child. And all of those 3 individual personalities or more have manifested themselves into greatness and also an albatross that will tear him down.
Man, Shane McMahon, that stuff was crazy, because you think about it, it's like, man, he took all these crazy bumps, did all this crazy stuff. He's just looking for his dad's approval. But then you hear like the way Vince talked to him and stuff. It's really, really intriguing. It made Shane look like a huge babyface.
I mean, I love it for all of the Freudian and Shakespearean reasons, and really Greek mythology reasons. If you're looking, at Oedipus complexes, and you're looking at, who's gonna take over King Lear or Hamlet's spot? Is Hamlet going to ascend to the throne? And even to have Linda on there, like there's things about that didn't line up for me, because if all this is going on and Vince is even admitting, well, what did I learn from having an affair? And they just throw that, oh, we had an extramarital affair. That was nothing. I guess it has repercussions and it hurts people. Well, what you're saying is that Linda and I haven't lived together since 2012, if not earlier. I've been out in the pool house, and that's well known. My question is, who's Linda been with for the last 12 years? Why is not one journalist who claimed anything, especially if they want some Trump gotcha shit, followed up on any of that? Would she just been celibate? Like there's no outside interest at all. And they didn't really hit the hard hitting questions. And then we cut to Meltzer because he was on Donahue. So apparently that fucking makes him the expert on all of this. But the way that I don't really like the Vice Dark Side of the Ring stuff that much. And this is because of the lackluster directors and producers that try and create a narrative where they want it to be true, And then someone like us watches it and I go, well, you just said Vince McMahon came up with the Attitude Era and all that shit, and he didn't do any of that. That was, if you were to cut to Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara, or someone even mentioning them and putting all that over and how that was instrumental, now you are absolutely telling the truth, and everything else you say, I'm going to believe. But the fact that that isn't even in there, and we know that, now the rest of your work is suspect to me and can be picked apart. And then when I also have my own directing of, why didn't they pull that 10-second soundbite from episode 2 and that one from 4 to close out here? I see those as mistakes that a director, producer, and editor made when they could have told. I say this about WWE. They often get 30% out of their storylines, not max value. They got 80% out of the Vince stuff when they could have just gone back and take a couple pieces to quantify their narrative at the end, and it would have really stuck the landing in an Olympic way. So there's a lot of people out there who get money to make documentaries and movies and TV shows who probably should not even be in the fucking biz, Briz.
Mm-hmm. It is very interesting, like with Vince, like, I'm not Mr. McMahon, but then he kind of says he is in the doc, but then in that message or that picture he put out on X, he was saying, oh, I'm not Mr. McMahon, but then some people said he is, some people said he isn't, but he basically said that he was, so it was weird that he put that out there.
Well, let's say, what if he does have, I'm right, but if he does have schizophrenia, multiple personality disorder, bipolar, one day you might be dealing with, fuck him, and the next day you're dealing with, hey, fuck him. You know, like, right. You don't know if it's computer sex brain. You don't know if it's egomaniac. You don't know if it's abused small child. You know, like when he's like the Vince, my dad told me he loved me and that was the greatest thing before. Like, that's another personality. That is the inner child that we got to see in there. But apparently these producers and directors don't want to study even the remote possibility of psychology as you're trying to build a criminal profile for somebody. You might want to understand how they fucking works, you know? So yep. I see those things and it's a little crick in my neck of like, oh, you missed. Good luck next time on your next project. You missed there. But overall, I thought it worked. And even people were like, oh, it was boring. It was the same shit. I loved watching that evolution of, you know, from Stand Back to the Vince McMahon show to all of the Hogan stuff, you know. I mean, all of it worked for me.
When you look at it, though, like with that doc, like you said, they were saying, is Mr. McMahon really Mr. McMahon? They're showing the old stuff, like from television, like Bark Like a Dog and all this other stuff. Then they're saying, is he really like that? I don't think they really did a good job of kind of going one way or another. Like, is he?
Well, they did a good job in the cut in the run at the end when they're like, he's like, there's no rape on our show, and then they come on out, you rapist. There's no guns. Oh. Cut to Brian Pillman. Like, we know all this. And then there's a point where they were counting storylines. He's like, we did that? And like, that was genuine. It wasn't like he's just working to be like, I'm getting myself out of jail with this one. You know, I wrote OVW and DCW 15 years ago now, right? And if someone would say something, remember when we did this, that, or the other, I'd be like, fuck, that sounds familiar, but I don't remember that at all. You'd have to show me. Now imagine being Vince, right, in episodic TV. I genuinely believe he wouldn't remember that, not just based on dementia, or maybe it was Personality 2 that wrote that, and you're talking to Personality 1, and Personality 1 doesn't have that fucking memory in there. That's a possibility too, bro. So if it was me and I'm his lawyer dealing with this shit, I would build that Vince McMahon, even if it's not to the extreme that you would want to believe it to, I would lay that out there that this guy has schizophrenia, multiple personality disorder, and needs to be treated medically more than he needs to be treated criminally. You know, that's the way I would try and defend this, but so be it, pal.
When you look at, like we said, with Shane, we were talking about him, but the Stephanie stuff was interesting. No, but the Stephanie stuff was interesting too, because Stephanie
Do we freeze up? Pause. Shit. You're froze. I'm froze. One of us froze. I'm going to jump out and come back in if you can hear me, dude.
They wouldn't talk about that storyline where sorry about that. Froze for a second.
Yeah, I don't know if that was me or you, but it was probably CIA not wanting us to talk about this level of stuff.
Yeah, they don't want us to talk about
no.
Stephanie and that whole storyline.
Yeah, and that's very strange too. Like, you're talking about a guy wanting to do an incest storyline. Isn't that everything in a Robert Durst admission of why I am the way I am? And there's plenty, not to recount any, there's plenty of strange stories of their behavior that doesn't seem very father-daughtery, you know what I mean? That has some strange butterfly kisses undertones to it. And then there's also the open rumors of Triple H's affair and why Steph took time off and just left out of nowhere and then had to come back. Where you been? And then this guy has to come out and save face instead of staying small. Get out of the spotlight. Save your ass. Nope, got to come out. I need you to punish me. I need to stick it in your eye so you come and fucking get me, dog. And then Stephanie disappears again, bro. So it's a very, very Shakespearean family tale of very, very strange things, bro. Very strange behaviors. And I'm almost happy Shane is away to some degree from it, but if he's getting involved with AEW, then the whole family's involved, at the end of the day.
Very interesting with that too, because he met with Tony Khan. They got that picture. He saw the Young Bucks, who by accident they're on the same flight together.
By accident,
right, by accident. Very interesting. So, what do you think's going on there? Is he going to be a part owner? Is he going to be a TV character? What's going on with him?
Yeah, I could see him being an investor and a TV character because, I mean, loose mathematics and all the arguments and the aha gotcha of whatever they're back and forth on the IWC of their new deal with Warner Brothers. And then the breakdowns of what it really costs production wise, along with your yearly roster budget doesn't. And if Warner Brothers owns, was it 30% of the company? And they also, and AEW doesn't get any of the commercial revenue. That seems you might just have enough to pay the budget and get $1 million a week for TV shows. So what happens if you got them? What happens? You got to fucking pay for the pay-per-views yourself, hoping that the Max deal will go. Who's subscribed to Max out there? Raise your hand if you're subscribed to Max. Then slap yourself across your face with that same fucking hand. They don't have, Max doesn't even have the stuff in place to do live streaming yet. So you want people to pay $9.99 or $16.99 for Max and then pay for the pay-per-view on top of that when they're only drawing 2,000 people at a show in an arena that seats 12,000. These are a lot of logistical what is going on, in the boardroom scenarios that need to be addressed in order to make money and for the first year be in the black, because everyone's like, the deal's done. They're going to do it. Yeah. To what? Maybe break even or lose 5 million. How about the last 5 years? You think just because the new deal's done, we just wipe away what happened, whatever we lost? $150 million would be my estimate, if not more, based on bad video game decisions, Cody leaving, Punk leaving, NDA payoffs, overbloated rosters, $50,000 catering, travel that people get booked to shows that they're not even on, right. Production, huge arenas that you have to pay vendors, security, production. Like, this is not the right way. Everyone who has ever asked me, hey, I'm thinking about opening my own indie fed. Oh, I go, yeah, that's the fastest way to lose $150,000 in 5 years. I'm like, you got $150,000 you don't want? I'm like, give it to me, bro. I'll glad to do whatever, because that's what's going to happen. Like, so if that's on an indie scale, now add 2 more zeros onto the end of that. And that's the scale Tony's playing on with 0 experience. Like, I don't put any stock in CEOs of companies that are conglomerates where the fucking whole board of directors were all goofs that failed upwards. Like they signed other shows that didn't do shit, and because they got a track record of being in the biz, and some other CFO or vice president gets pushed out, well, let's pluck him and put him in there as the next yes man. Oh, bravo. That's most of your upper echelon in these companies. And all they're doing is going, well, his dad's rich, so we'll get a piece of that, and that'll keep us afloat until I jump from Warner Brothers over to Viacom, because there'll be a spot over there in 2 years. I can ride this out, give myself a $12 million bonus, and then I'll fuck that up, and then I'm going to jump over here and go, but I made $26 million. Well, they were paying him $26 million. He must be fucking brilliant, when the reality is they've never done anything that's successful. And that's probably 70 to 80% of your upper level producers, VPs in the television business, bro. So with Khan getting that money, good for him, but I don't see a profit there. And if I don't see enough making enough profit to recoup what you lost the last 5 years, while your audience is down 45% right now, as a businessman, I just don't see it.
So you still don't think they'll be profitable even with that new deal?
What are you defining profitable as? If you're let's say they're 150 million in the hole right now for 5 years.
Yep.
And all expenses are paid roughly. And then what do they have to put money in their pockets? Ticket sales and merch sales, and video games. Let's say that generates after expenses $5 million profit. We're $150 million in the red. And in a whole year, we did it. They'll tout it as we're in the black, we're profitable from the time this deal was done. So really that 5 million goes into the coffers, in my opinion. Now you're only 145 million down. So that means we only got to be in business for 30 more years and make 5 million a year to get back to even. And then by year 36, we're projected to be profitable. Like, this is simple thugonomics, economics when you look at the breakdown. So a Meltzer to a Sapsucker to Soul Monster's breakdown to my breakdown to Vince's breakdown. Every day I'm running a business that I have to balance these margins out, right? And I look at that with a critical eye. It's not like they're marks and they don't sell and they don't this is why, I'm just looking at it as cost, expenditures, what we've lost, and where we need to go projected wise. And I don't see a roadmap to success without getting out of the arenas, cutting half your roster, and getting another TV deal done where you do get a cut of the commercials. That's what it's got to be. Then we can maybe get on a path to all right, we're generating year 1. Year 2, let's try and get it up 12%. Okay, we can accomplish that through these means, but he's never run a company, dude. His dad put him in charge of analytics to try and be a Moneyball guy at their sports franchises. Please name me another company or any startup entrepreneurial investment that Tony Khan has invested in that has a proven track record of successful business knowledge, because the wrestling business is even harder than regular day-to-day business to make a fucking profit in as a promoter. Sitting around and having a notebook since you were 12 years old playing wrestling games does not qualify you in any means, especially not having any submitted to any master to go train and fucking become a Jedi of this stuff. You're just jumping in because you got money. That's a sure. Rip would say, boys, you don't even get this shit till you've been in it for 8 to 10 years. Well, 3 years from now, Tony Khan should start to fucking get it. That's who's at the helm. So how can you expect it to do well? It's just a rich guy, and here's a bunch of workers with their hands in his pocket, bro. And he wants to be one of the boys. He wants to feel that megalomania power of Vince in the back with the headset on. Good match, everybody. And that's what it is. There's no track record of I've built a business and I understand how to market, how to promote, how to book, how to fill arenas. Everything is opposite of that.
It's just interesting, like the way people worded it, because I guess they're saying from now going forward they could be profitable. But like,
forget that $150 million.
right? They were, because
today.
I noticed that, because they weren't talking about like, well, what are they right now? They're in the red. So being profitable going forward means you got to get out of the red first and then go into the black.
Okay, so
Right.
Even if we forget it, and it's the opportunity to be profitable based on the track record of the last 5 years. Do you think you're automatically going to get it and start being profitable after you've lost 45% of your audience? Now you have to get back 50% of the audience you lost. How do you plan on doing that? I'm all ears. What is the roadmap to success? Is there that? So just because they got a deal inked and they lost and gave up a lot, and that's just the IWC goofs who have no real involvement in the business whatsoever, aside from commenting on it week in and week out like they're pros or they've taken a bump or trained with anybody. They haven't at all. So how would they know? They just want to, gotcha, Eric Bischoff, like all these stupid little back and forths. I don't care about any of that. Like in the argument, break me down the numbers and the roadmap of where you're going to go promotions wise to start booking small venues, to have special guests. How do we get the NFL rub from this? How do we cross over with these stars and where we want to go in a Logan Paul-esque type way? I don't see any of that happening. And so to me, if we're already down with less of an audience, how is that going to be like, yeah, this year we're making profit based on what? The same old bad booking on fucking guys from WWE who didn't get over there, coming over to do flips and no sell and not register anything with Osprey for who? What micro demographic is tuning in that's going to fucking put money in your pockets for that? Nobody. It only gets you bad press and makes your product look goofy. So none of the decisions that I see are the only decision I've seen that is in a turn for the betterment of the show overall is the Outrunners and Serena D being on the show. Aside from that, and Tony Storm, but they had so much there with Tony Storm, and he might have got 15% value out of what could have been, and shotgunned so much, missed so much. It to me, like it's a vote of no confidence. It's a Justin Trudeau 101 on that shit. But he's got yes men all around him who are just going to say whatever. They line up to pitch their own business, and he listens because I'm sure he wants to hang out with wrestlers, and he does what he wants at the end of the day for some dream booking that has no story attached to it. It's not going to draw a dime, buddy. It's unfortunate because people are taking bumps for all the wrong reasons.
I feel like it's a good deal in principle and maybe headed in the right direction, but they haven't been able to be profitable. So how could they all of a sudden be profitable when they haven't been profitable? That was my whole
You're just
thing.
you're just gonna get, want to know how is he steps down fully and disappears and just becomes an owner who comes out to wave once in a while. He has no control over the book. He has no control over the marketing. That way you eliminate the yes men, and everyone has to do their job for real. Otherwise, this shit ain't going to be around much longer, you guys. But the more that everyone's in there slapping, hey, TK, good to see you, Briz, yada, 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 right? Like, that's just picking the pockets. That's not making a profitable company. That's not making the best product possible. Get Daniel Bryan out of the goddamn ring and let him be the head of the booking committee. I mean, he's already the head of the disciplinary committee. I mean, we
know that,
yeah. So, but or anybody that's back there. There's plenty of guys with great minds. I'm not trying to say a Chris Hero can't do anything, or forgive me, what's the guy from Nightmare Factory?
QT Marshall.
QT. I mean, the guy came up at Monster Factory. He knows his shit too. Like, you got and Dustin Runnels. You got a lot of capable, generals to captain like smaller squads to get things done, so but until he removes him, that's really the number one thing I would do. I would remove him, not just because of, oh, he sucks as a booker. I'm not trying to just hammer on anything like that. Him being there is a hindrance to the possibility of getting the company jump started the right way. business wise.
Yeah, it seems like whatever they're doing, obviously it's been steady decline rather than making money and steady up climb.
Yeah. Doesn't know how to tell a story, doesn't know psychology, never been trained. What do you expect? Like you got heels getting heat, you got guys gigging in the opening matches, you've got the in-ring that it looks like an Olympic floor routine, tandem and just absolutely phony. Nobody registering, nobody selling. What was a Hangman versus somebody did 5 dives to the outside. And then all of a sudden Hangman gives him that inverted tombstone on the apron out of nowhere. So the 5 dives meant nothing. You're almost getting as a goddamn. You think that has any wrestling psychology involved with it at all? Like nobody is really understanding how to get over at all, except the Outrunners, even Tony Storm. That's about it, to be honest with you. That it really is it, in my opinion, on that roster of who understands this business.
Love the Outrunners. They're not taking crazy bumps either. Love those guys. Yeah.
Don't have to do. You're talking about Rip Rogers, Al Snow, OVW guys that can get over with character. That's what I do. And if you say, oh, that's all they got is that, cue Serena. She'll go out and out wrestle every man on your roster and have a match that has pure psychology and makes complete sense and doesn't need a story attached to it, but can get somebody over, or the reaction if she loses of why they beat her. That furthers the story on that. So everybody else is really an indie or Japan goof getting their shit in who doesn't understand it. And, that goes for guys in your Blackpool Combat Club to fucking luchadors to whoever else, bro. Like they just, it's not for the betterment of the entire show. And that's the other thing. We're not seeing an entire show. We're seeing sag just stacked up. There's no through line. There's no callback. There's no Venn diagram of worlds that have spun out that interact with each other that we're interested to see that space in the middle of, wow, what happens if these two planets look like they could collide? Holy shit, they're gonna. And then what's here in the sweet spot? We can't even get these worlds or these plates spinning to get them to go that close. There's so many. I go to Bruce Lee, the formless form of Jake Kundo, and Del Close, creator of the Herald long form improv, of these structures that we understand and agree on, but inside of those parameters, everything can be changed based on what the character is. It's very much match structure, right? Like entrance, shine, heat, comeback, false comeback, into the finish. And it's just they don't understand it because they've never been taught it, or have they pursued a master that is going to pass that knowledge on to them.
Bruce Lee reference. I love that. Nice. Nice.
Be water, my friend.
Yes, be water. Now there's no Crash TV. There's no, you know what I mean? There's none of that. Yeah.
And good art, and Pablo Picasso, good artists create, great artists steal and make it their own. We're not doing any of that. We're stealing directly. We're not making it our own. Whether they don't really understand what that means. Like how I would look at somebody, a Jackie Gleason bit or a Three Stooges bit. Perfect. I've talked about Lumpy Magoo before on other shows. It was just a guy that we're still looking for. I'm not sure where he is anymore, but I got to write this Pee Wee Herman character. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, I need some, his whole offense was like, bend over, tie my shoe, back body drop somebody. Turn around. What'd you say? Boop, elbow somebody. They fall off. Oh my God. They turn and trip. He trips somebody. They take a front face buckle. And then he's just like, what did I do? Right. I need Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, and the Three Stooges. I watched fucking 15 hours. And I go, I'll take that. I'll take that. And I'll take that. And I'll put Lumpy's spin on it. And I'll put it in the blender. And out comes a creative. And this was just a student show. You had to sell 5 tickets to be on the show. And if you sold the most, guess who gets to be in the main event? Rip would book it. Yeah. So by the time Rip was done and we were doing it, it became a problem because the creative people wanted to see, in improv, we call that playing out the game. So the game would be happenstance offense. He doesn't know. He's never really hit anybody. Everything's an accident or a trip or a miss. You know what I mean? When somebody comes and he ducks out of the way and they take themselves out.
Yep.
by the end of that run, he was selling 121 tickets to the fucking show, and nobody else could sell tickets because everybody wanted to see Lumpy in the main event. So they were always buying their fucking tickets from him. You see how storyline and operant conditioning and playing the game. And I had these other worlds spinning, and all I had to do was have Lumpy's world come in and just brush up against this storyline. That storyline's over. Come over here, play his game out, brush up against this one. That one's over. And that's what you're seeing with the Outrunners right now.
I love that. Great psychology too, right? I mean, in the heart
that's
of it, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. I got to say, man, like, it's not anything I invented. I just seeked out masters. I went to Improv Olympic. I studied for 2.5 years. I performed for 4 years. I was ready to be like, all right, I'm serious about getting to Comedy Central. What did I do? I did a show with Ed Ferrara. He told me to go to OVW, and I went and I started all over again at 28 years old to fucking humble myself, learn from the masters. And you're watching a 21-year-old Cody and Sean Spears, a Ryback, a Beth Phoenix. It goes on, dude. And they're all humbled while Al Snow is telling us this is how character work's done. And a lot of times as young performers, they would go into business for themselves, and Al would get pissed at the end in the go-homes because they didn't do the business that he laid out for them, because they're young performers and they don't see it. They see wrestling what they think they should do, but they don't understand how to craft and tell a story fully. And Al would be like, no, and then tell them the right way and make you feel like you're this big. And then next week, because you got shamed because you went into biz for yourself, hopefully you'll listen and execute properly, because that's what you need to do when the camera's on you on a bigger TV scale. I wouldn't say none. 70% of that AEW roster has never had a mentor like that, or been trained for TV, or had those pre-production and post-production meetings to break down. Because what's Tony going to do? Sit there and look at his buddy of rosters and go, no, you didn't get the fucking business I wanted done, guys. Like, that never happens there, bro. Never. Because he really doesn't know how to do biz that is going to draw and bring people into the arena on a scale of, don't sell 5 tickets. 121 people paid to fucking see that one guy. Well, how many of those one guys can we make? We could do it. You know what I mean? To me, you want to talk about a $1 million gimmick that doesn't have to do shit, that's just like the Outrunners, just like a Lumpy Magoo, and has so much money written on it for crossover? Danhausen. Didn't get 1 fucking cent out of him. Danhausen could have come in. He could have been the next Sven Gulli. He could have been in, you could have done Laurel and Hardy, or Abbott and Costello, with Tony Storm, and had him as a lead there. The toy stuff alone that he could have done with, forgive me, Buddy just jumped to ship to NXT. He was a toy guy. He was on Team Canada. Ethan Page. They had their own little thing like that alone. Where's the Don West segments with those guys? Just in Orange Cassidy, he had wrestling. Orange Cassidy never had to wrestle. Orange Cassidy is a brilliantly silent character that could have just overheard things and been a catalyst. You know what I mean? That his game is silence and being in a strange place. He's in a cupboard underneath. He's behind a door. He's under the ring. We did a little of that when he first started. And then he's wrestling 20-minute matches, Nope. Could have got him over in 1 minute, 30 seconds even, if you have him placed in the right spot and you get the game going the right way, where people are almost expecting, oh, I wonder if Orange Cassidy is going to be in this segment, and what the fucking turn is, what the swerve is there, by him being the inertia factor. Tony's got these toys that he's bought. He has no idea how to position them in the right way to play with them the right way.
Yeah, you got to learn how to play with them.
Yeah, Deuce, you got to get over here and play with me, pal.
As we head towards the finish,
orange acidity, write that down, Deuce.
As we head towards the finish, head towards the wind down, what is like next for you? I know we're talking about a lot of different things, but what's next for you? Anything wrestling related or no?
Yeah, I'm going back across the border on December 7th to Crossfire Wrestling in St. Catharines to settle the final score with the infidel moron Chris LaPlante, the owner of Crossfire Wrestling, who has done everything he can, from take away my managers, my tag team partner Congo Kong, and Jay Moore. He ran out of the business. He's thrown MMA fighters at me. He's had people arrested, and this is going to be the battle to end them all on December 7th in St. Catharines. So that'll be on True TV up there, I believe is the name of the station. But I look forward to crippling him in front of his children, to be honest with you. That's what I'm looking forward to for and then that'll probably be it for me. I have heard talk of a secret 2C dub show, but I don't know. I probably won't wrestle a full match on that one, but this one will probably be pretty hardcore match, weapons match, the whole nine. And then that's probably it for me, Paz. Like, I've done everything I wanted to. I've destroyed America. I destroyed pro wrestling. I've hacked everything, gave everybody COVID. I mean, I did everything I ever set out to do from the beginning. And here we are. So with the weed stuff, bro, it's just, truly my, ticket to retirement in a way where I can enjoy it and my body's not going to be destroyed. Hamin Media is going to keep going because people love the shows. I know so many of you, our listeners, are just all over, from police cars to mowing lawns to, just getting people through the day. And we get those messages and they make it all worth it. Even if we don't have the biggest audience of whatever, subscribers, it's definitely quality over quantity. And my production team has just been aces. I can't say enough about everybody improving their life kind of based off of the HMG model of saying yes and pushing yourself and chop wood, carry water. Nobody's going to do the work for you. The world meets nobody halfway. And if you put yourself out there and extend with whatever your dream is, it takes a lot, and you got to eat a lot of shit sometimes, but sometimes it really pays off. And even if it's not in a money way, if you made something from scratch and you lived it, no one can ever take that away from you, from your journey on this planet. You only get about 88 trips around the sun if you're lucky. What are you going to do with yours is what it comes down to. And my producers have done incredible things. I'm so proud of all of them. So, and our listeners too. And that's why I really want HMG to continue on and morph, and what it becomes is what is always going to be ever changing too. So, but at the foundation, it's all the bumps I took for years to be blackballed, only to end around Vince McMahon to allegedly become a consultant. I really feel like that was spoken to the universe many years ago to be the next Vince Russo, and it manifests itself in being business partners with Vince Russo and getting to kind of co-write Raw right to the USA Network president. What else really is there for me? I really don't want to go back on the road to be a subservient to Triple H. If Tony Khan wants me to consult, remotely, the Young Bucks know where to find us. There were 2 CW mainstays, and Josh and I and Strangler Steve could definitely do that. But really, all they're doing anyway is listening to HMG shows and stealing my suggestions 3 months later and doing them half-assedly. You can go back in the Tony Storm entrance where it was half black and white, half color. I laid out verbatim 3 months before they did it of what they're missing. I mean, it's not even like, oh, it's close and parallel. It's verbatim. And that's fine if that's what it takes to get better content on TV, is to have it stolen and not paid for. Welcome to professional wrestling, as my friend Al Barone would say. So that's just part of the biz. And that's fine, because I've got millions of an infinite amount of creative ideas that can get over. So if you can't even do the bare basics and you're looking for a mentor who's going to be able to look over your shoulder and produce, that'd probably be where I could have the most impact. But, I'd be weary to go back to Impact after I had to fight them to get paid the first time. So, but it's new management now, so I don't hold them accountable. But yeah, man, really it's things like this, just kind of getting to go on Cafe de Rene, 2-man power trip, K100, and have a good time without having to worry about, oh shit, I said something. Am I going to be able to ever get to WWE? I don't give a fuck. I'll always love wrestling. I'll always love performing, and looking at things with a critical eye. The back and forth on hearing these podcasts about it's the best time because they're making the most money. Imagine if you got more than 20% value out of your storylines, how much more money you could make. Everyone compares these metrics. They're making more than ever. Yeah, I could double that for you. If you actually wanted to write a David Chase level show, but instead we're writing the Muppets. Not that the Muppets didn't make money. Muppets made a fuck ton of money, but you want to act like it's for 18 to 49-year-olds. And I see 6-year-olds and 4-year-olds that's who this show is really for, until it comes time to payoff where guys are getting 16 stitches hell in a cell. So it's a very bipolar split of who this shit is for, because I'll watch some stuff and just be like, ugh, why am I watching this children's show? It's such a waste of my, I just want to put on Boardwalk Empire and zone out, you know?
Yeah, great show.
So like, if they would actually admit that they need to step up their commitment, the whole Wyatt Six thing, they never should have been in the ring. Everything should have been a Firefly Funhouse produced, you know, and never even really debuting. They could have started all the way up to their debut and Halloween. What have we seen from the Wyatt Six in the last 12 weeks that we couldn't have lived without, right? Like we could have had all kinds of Nightmare on Elm Street suck you into their world with your superstars. Instead, we got some weird Team America thing versus the fucking spooky hooly ghoulies. Like, please tell me where the U.S. military, that was one of our biggest wars where we went and fought zombies in costumes. Like, none of it makes sense whatsoever. But people are like, this is the best ever. No, it's not even close. You've been fed crap for so long that when you even get a little bit of something else, you're just like, oh, this is the best. It's not even close. And I demand a higher standard, but apparently the 85% who don't got a clue are very happy with the bread and circuses they're being fed. And that's fine. I'm going to sell weed.
Where could everybody follow you on social media?
At bin_Hamin and at Ravens Joint on Instagram. I think at Ravens Joint, the number 2 on Instagram after our first one got pulled. But on Facebook, Twitter, just trying to get those Ravens Joint numbers up. And if you're ever in the upstate New York, Syracuse area and you want to come check out the shop, grab a picture, you're always welcome. For sure, love having wrestling fans in. You never know what favorite ROH, AEW, or WWE superstar might be in the store, because they've all visited so far. I try to take pictures to break kayfabe on them so they don't get any heat. But it's a new day in cannabis, man, and I'm happy to share it with everybody. So, yeah, and if you guys want to subscribe and hear more crazy shit like this, channelattitude.com, the Hamin Media Group side is where to go. And absolutely love these types of crossovers. And thank you so much, Paz, for reaching out today, man. I was really happy to get this invitation because I always love being on with you, brother.
Awesome. I always love having you on. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Hopefully I didn't get you too buried in the IWC.